So, have you ever noticed the moment you decide to get serious about what God told you to do, life gets louder? Like the second you say, "All right, God, I'm ready," whether that's verbally, whether that's in your head, whether that's in your heart, it seems like everything around suddenly says, "Oh, really?" Have you ever been there? I've been there. You finally decide, "Okay, I'm going to pray more." Now, all of a sudden, you're exhausted. You decide to get disciplined. Now, distraction shows up, and it shows up right on time. You decide to build something. Now, opposition clocks in for work. And not only does it clock in, it's ready to do overtime. That's not random. That's Nehemiah. I preached about Nehemiah last Sunday. Nehemiah had a comfortable life. He had a good job. Listen to this. He was stable, he was safe, and he was also the king's cupbearer. So that means he had security, he had influence, he had a predictable future. And then one conversation, it changed everything. Someone told him, "Jerusalem is broken. The walls are destroyed. The gates are burned." And the Bible says Nehemiah sat down and cried. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard something, seen something, felt something, and you couldn't shake it? Everyone else around you moved on. Everyone else scrolled past it, but you kept thinking about it. You kept feeling it. It keeps bothering you, no matter how much you try to shake it or get rid of it. That's usually how God calls you. God places a burden in your heart before he places vision in your hands. Nehemiah, he prays, he fasts, he seeks God. Then he asks the king for permission to rebuild the walls. In this part of the story, it always gets me. I want y'all to lean in close. The wall gets rebuilt by regular people, not engineers, not construction workers, but by priests, by goldsmiths, by perfume makers. Perfume makers building a wall. Can you imagine that? That's like a barber saying, "Yeah, I'll cut you here, but this weekend I'm going to build a bridge." God wasn't looking for qualified. He was looking for people with availability. But here's where it gets real. The moment they started building, the opposition shows up. Immediately, Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem, we can call them the haters committee, right? Have you ever had someone make you feel small because you chose to dream big? Have you ever started something and suddenly felt resistance everywhere? Here's the truth, y'all. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. If you're getting resistance, you're probably building something important. And here's the verse that makes the difference. They worked with one hand and held a weapon in the other hand. Let that sit with you. They built and they battled, hammer in one hand and a sword in the other, because they realized something we all have to learn and also realize. Building attracts battle. I wish someone told us this earlier. I wish somebody would have let us know that when you begin to build something, you're going to attract some things that you don't like. We thought obedience meant it was easy. We thought calling meant comfort. We thought the purpose meant peace. No, my brother and my sister, purpose means pressure. You don't get spiritual warfare doing nothing. You get warfare when you start building. And maybe that's why life feels intense right now. You're building faith, you're building discipline, you're building your marriage, you're building your ministry, you're building your future. And you're wondering why everything feels harder because you're in a build and battle season. And Nehemiah tells the people something so powerful. He says, "Don't be afraid. Remember the Lord. In other words, yes, we're fighting. Yes, we're building, but we're not doing this alone. The worst thing you can do or think in the midst of opposition, in the midst of the battle, is to believe that you're in it by yourself. Now, here's the miracle part. The Bible says the walls were finished in 52 days. 52 days. This wall had been broken for years. Generations walked past it, lived with it, accepted it. But when the right leader, the right vision, and the right people came together, what sat broken for years was rebuilt in 52 days. Let that sink in. God can do in weeks what's been broken in your life for years. God can accelerate healing, accelerate growth, and accelerate restoration. You think it's about to take forever, but God says, give me 52 days. And when the enemy saw that the walls were finished, they said, this had to be God. They didn't congratulate Nehemiah, they recognized God. And that's the goal. Not for people to say, wow, you did an amazing job, but for people to say, that had to be God. So let me ask you personally, what walls has God been nudging you to rebuild? Your prayer life, your discipline, your dreams, your family, your confidence. Because you don't need forever, you need obedience. You don't need perfect conditions, you need commitment. So pick up your tool today, pick up your sword today, and keep building because what God started in you, He will finish. And I want to remind you of this one thing before I go. Keep showing up because I believe when you show up, God will too. God bless you, and I will see you on the next one.